Hello and welcome to another Tech Campus Coffee Live webinar. This is an opportunity for you to learn about career paths at Tech directly from professionals in your field.
We'll be speaking to technical representatives from a variety of fields at Tech, and they'll share why they enjoy what they do.
Participants also have a chance to directly ask speakers and recruiters questions and get a good understanding of why Tech is a great place to work, as well as where your strengths, talents, and learning opportunities lie.
All right, thanks, Sally. Hi, everyone. So I'm Stacy Smith. So I'm the lead for the campus recruitment program here at Tech. And so you're going to hear my voice a little bit, probably going to get tired of it. So myself and my colleague Annie, who I'll get her to introduce herself as well, will be sort of asking Mike questions about his role, about strategic maintenance at Tech, and just getting all his worldly insights. And of course, like Sally mentioned at the beginning, I just encourage you guys to throw any questions you have in the chat, or also raise your hand. We'd love to hear from you. We want to make sure these sessions are really answering the questions that you might have. If you're trying to make a decision on where you want to work, where you want to go, what is it like to work here? Certainly that's what these are for. So we want to answer those questions for you. Annie, I'll pass it over to you to do a quick hi as well.
For sure. Hi, everybody. My name is Annie McDonald, and so I work here at Tech as well as a campus recruiter. And and I'm involved in a lot of the hiring for the mechanical engineering co-op. So we're really excited to have you join us this evening to hear a little bit more about working as a mechanical engineer with Tech, strategic maintenance, and what it's like to be a co-op as well. So great. We're excited to have you here.
Perfect. All right. So Mike, I'm going to put you on the hot seat. So thanks so much for joining us. Mike, if you wouldn't mind doing a quick intro of yourself, tell us a little bit about what you do here and what you're all about.
Yeah. Hey. So my name is Michael Snyder. I'm actually senior reliability engineer. Mechanical background. I've been a maintenance engineer with Tech and kind of filled a lot of different shoes. I've been working with Tech for about 6 years. Graduated from Dalhousie Engineering Program in Halifax just over 10 years ago now.
That's awesome. Annie and I have a soft spot for the East Coast, not going to lie.
Oh, yeah. We're both from out that way.
Awesome, Mike. So I think a good place for us to start was how about the session's called strategic maintenance. So and obviously you're senior reliability engineer. So maybe tell us a little bit about what strategic maintenance means to you, and or even what it means for Tech, really.
Yeah. So I think the biggest thing is obviously we have a variety of huge assets. My experience with Tech is all in the wash plant. So it's basically 3 different large assets made up of a bunch of smaller assets like pumps, motors, etc. Every hour at Green Hills specifically, other mine sites are different, but every hour of runtime translates to about $300,000 of revenue. Wow. So strategic maintenance is about maximizing that runtime, reducing upsets. Like when something fails and it kicks everything out, rather than going down in a controlled fashion, you're going down suddenly, screens are covered in coal, pipes are full of slurry, and it takes a lot longer to bring things back up. So to me, strategic maintenance is about using a variety of different techniques to keep things as healthy as possible and to reduce unscheduled maintenance downtime.
Yeah, that's awesome. Really interesting. And then, I guess I'm kind of curious because I know obviously we have our site maintenance teams, and then we also have a centralized group where we also hire co-ops for both areas. And our centralized group is sort of our maintenance strategy group. And I know there's maintenance strategy behind all of our plans, but I guess, can you talk to us a little bit about how those two groups work together and collaborate?
Yeah, so we generally, when the people on site refer to the central group as the Sparwood engineers. Okay. And they're essential for helping deal with some of the bigger picture stuff and giving you the resources and to mobilize different projects. One example that jumps to mind is we had a pretty significant upset mid last year where we have these huge tanks in the wash plant called thickeners. It's 160-foot diameter with slow moving rakes. Feed in, feed out, bunch of different pumps. A component in that failed. If filled with solids rather than a slurry. And the plant was down for what ended up being about 70 hours. So like you can do the math there at $300,000 an hour. It's costing the company a lot of money. To dig into that problem, being site-based engineer and running the reliability group, I've got to deal with the day-to-day stuff. I've got to work with people on the floor. I don't have time to do huge investigations into like the really nitty-gritty stuff on major failures like that. So that's where Central, this Sparwood group, comes in, and they help support, helping come to site, do root cause analysis, which everyone on site's involved with, but then they take all that data back, compile it, come out with some recommendations, and then help support driving actions forward.
Nice. That's awesome. Oh, that's really great. Okay, perfect. Yeah, and it is an area where we hire students in both sides. So it's neat to see sort of the, I guess, maybe the different perspectives that both groups would have. All right. Annie, sorry, do you want to go ahead and ask a?
Oh, I just wanted to hear a little bit more about, so within your department or up at Green Hills, we hire a lot of mechanical engineers across the sites in the variety of different areas. So wanted to, if you could tell us a little bit about kind of what might be exciting that you've had students involved in the past, like working with your group or in mechanical positions.
Yeah, so I've had about a dozen co-op students since I've been with Tech. I can think of at least 3 of them off the top of my head that got hired back full time.
Yeah.
What I generally like to do with co-ops, I typically end up with co-ops that are 3rd or 4th year students, so they're pretty competent by that point. Have had a couple of co-op experiences before coming to Tech, which always helps, but I basically give free reign to co-ops. There's all the maintenance teams, so like the millwrights, the welders, the pipe fitters, and then operations as well. So all the different operators for different circuits have ideas, have things that need to be fixed, have things they want to improve. And I like to use co-ops as a tool to be the face to interact with all the tradespeople and operators to work on mechanical design projects and betterment projects. So
Great.
I guess one that comes to mind is we've had a bunch of piping failures. The wash plant is getting on 40 years old. Some of the piping is original. A couple of failures that were causing lots of issues. So basically just taking that as the problem statement, how do we prevent more piping failures kicking us out? Co-op student came up with a plan to go out with a pipe thickness tester, measure different pipes, typically around elbows and different bends, figure out where we're having issues, get work orders in the system to get those sections replaced, but then actually pull all that information together into a strategy document to identify how we're going to prevent this from happening in the future. Sorry.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Great. I see some questions popping up in the chat, so I just want to make sure we get into those as well. You're talking a little bit about co-op. I guess if you're looking at that new grad, and you talked a little bit about hiring a couple of co-ops for full time, which is music to our ears. But I guess, what do you look for in a new grad when you're hiring for your team, Mike? Is there anything in particular, any sort of skill sets that are really important for you to look for in a new grad, or even in a co-op for that matter?
Yeah, the biggest thing to me, I think, is attitude.
Yeah.
I don't expect somebody coming out of school to be able to go into the plant right away and be able to come up with all the solutions, know how the processes work at Tech for creating drawings and implementing them. But somebody coming in that is able to talk to people on the floor, be willing to take criticism from people on the floor in particular, something I still get every single day. And just the curiosity to try to come up with solutions, not just saying, oh, this is how we've done it before, but how can we do this better?
Yeah, awesome. That's great. Yeah, I know. And I think a lot of students will, talk about, especially, we talk about the path forward for Tech involves a lot of innovation and looking outside of different ways we could do things. And, students often ask, like, oh, should I have a background in coding? Should I be taking some technology courses on this side? Like, we look at the future of where the direction mining's going in. I guess, what are your thoughts on that? Do you think students should dabble in that side? Do you think it'd be useful? What do you think?
I think that's something that I missed out on when I was going to school. And I see a lot of people, particularly in the race program, doing a lot of that kind
Mhm.
of stuff. And
Yeah.
I personally am jealous of that ability. I don't like it. Just I think depends what interests you, but yeah, I don't that those kinds of skills are never gonna harm you.
Yeah. Yeah. 100% for sure. You can learn some of it on the job, and then, like you say, it never hurts to have that background and that skill set in your back pocket if you have it. Awesome. Andy, do you want to ask another question?
Yeah, sure. So I guess within your department or within like maintenance with tech, what makes you excited about the next couple of years? Are there some really interesting like projects that you see coming up, or what are your thoughts on
Yeah,
that?
for me in the group I'm in, I only came into the reliability role, and reliability was new to me when I came into it in April. Yeah, so pretty early in the year, basically took charge of a pretty young reliability program to try to continue developing it further. We had a stretch goal for end of year for how many available hours would be, yeah, how many plant available hours there would be at the end of the year. And I actually just figured out uh, yesterday morning, I guess, that we actually made that target end of year,
That's awesome.
which is great. This year for 2023, it's an additional 120 hours we're expected to have. So there's a lot of different bad actor projects we're going to start diving into to try to free up as many hours as we can for the plant.
That's awesome. And so you mentioned that you just came into this job not long ago. And so have you worked as a reliability engineer the entire time you've been with tech, or what is your position progression
Yeah,
been since
so
being with the company?
I started at Fording River as a maintenance engineer, and when I started there, the process engineer left pretty shortly after, and I actually ended up I had a senior engineering supervisor, but then I was the only engineer below that. So I ended up doing process engineering, reliability engineering, and maintenance engineering when I was at Fording River. We slowly built that team back up after a couple of years, which was a bit of a relief. So I've been primarily maintenance focused, which is honestly ends up being a lot of day-to-day firefighting and yeah, trying to fix things that break and trying to prevent them from breaking again. Yeah. And then I moved to Green Hills, and I actually went into a bit of a finance role in the plant, operational readiness, that kind of stuff. So dealing a lot with where the money is going, because it was a black box previously. And then once I got that program sustainable, I moved into the reliability role, and I've been in that since April.
Great. Yeah,
Yeah.
lots of variety for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Stace, I'll pass back to you.
Sure. Yeah. And I guess it's something I often ask for people who, you talk to a mining engineer, and obviously they're going to move into the mining space. And obviously with mechanical, you have lots of options. And I'm sure there's people on the line. There's a few people I will answer some of the recruiting questions, I promise, for the people in the chat. But why mining? I guess out of all the different areas you could have worked in, what made you choose mechanical mining, and what made you choose tech? I guess.
So mining ended up just kind of how life ended up. My partner at the time, now wife, had a co-op with Mosaic in Saskatchewan, and I ended up out there while she was on her co-op, and then loved what I was doing as an underground maintenance engineer out there. But then we wanted to change. We're not from Saskatchewan, so we were hoping to move somewhere with a lifestyle that was more what we did, which is skiing, biking, hiking, and camping. And I don't know if there's anywhere better than the Elk Valley for having an engineering career and having an incredible lifestyle.
Yeah, no, we're pretty lucky, I have to say. And I know, like, we are obviously talking about the Elk Valley here for coal, but then if it's something that we we often brag about, I guess. But the Elk Valley has an amazing recreation. We have our other operations near Kamloops. Again, same kind of lifestyle. We have our trail operations, same thing. Some really amazing ski hills out our back door, say for example. And I don't think a lot of mine sites can necessarily brag that they have that
Yeah,
capacity or ability.
tourism.
So yeah,
Tourism and
yeah,
mining
for
don't
sure.
typically go hand in hand, but it's a pretty phenomenal place. The Elk
Yeah.
Valley, or all of the different regions that we're operating.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that should be everybody.
Oh, I think there might be somebody that needs to put their mute on there.
Breakout room.
There we go.
Okay, so a couple of people have asked about the new grad. Now I'm going to get into a little bit of the recruiting part, but someone's asked about the MBA program and what positions are available for MBA student, I guess. And I guess one thing while I bring that up is maybe talking about, we have some really interesting perks at Tech, and some of which are, we actually do have an MBA program for professionals that are working full time. And again, this is something that people work into when they get into, obviously building their career with Tech, and we see, they want to move into more leadership or that sort of thing. Then sometimes that they get into either a leadership program and then it can roll into an MBA program. We have a partnership with Simon Fraser University to do that with some of our employees. Also, when we talked about the lifestyle side of it, we also have like a healthy lifestyle account that full-time employees get. So again, it sort of encourages that lifestyle of really enjoying where you work and what you do outside of work, and having that healthy lifestyle for all our employees. So some neat perks that really highlight, I guess, some of that growth potential, but also that we like to live and play hard and work hard, I guess is probably a good way to put it. But Mike, I guess in terms of MBA programs, or MBA students coming on board, have you had any MBAs come through your group? I know you talked a little bit about the finance side, so I wondered if maybe that might have been an area that an MBA student might be qualified for.
All of the MBA students and professionals that I've interacted with have typically been like general supervisors or leads. I think there's probably a lot of positions. One that springs to mind right away that seems like it'd be a good fit for an MBA grad is like an OpEx lead, which is an operational excellence group. And that's just it's like a central group for each site that you're going to: operations, plant, maintenance, environmental, etc. And you're just trying to help solve hiccups. It's a pretty cool group.
Yeah, and they kind of look at it a little different perspective, maybe, to some challenges that we're seeing within some of the different areas of the business, which I find really interesting. And I guess while we're talking about that, actually might be neat to note, because someone else has asked a little bit about like what positions are available for new grad mechanical engineers, and then someone's asked about the MBA, if they hire MBA students. So I guess something to think about, and we always warn people about Tech and maybe even all mining companies, but you kind of got to do your homework a little bit on our website. I'm not going to lie. So we have a lot of positions posted right now, and really consistently through the whole last year and likely continuing into this year. There's been quite a few positions posted on our website. So one thing you can do if you are on the hunt for new grad positions or even professional positions, you can set yourself up for job alerts on the website, and that'll alert you when a job comes up, because sometimes the other side of it is that we don't always name it exactly. Like, it's not always called mechanical engineer. Mike talked about his role as a senior reliability engineer. It might be called reliability. It might be, maybe it's an operational excellence role. Maybe it's a continuous improvement role. There's, we have our strategic maintenance team. So you really kind of got to look at the job titles. There's some different titles that might come up that might not just straight up list mechanical. So then if you set yourself up for job alerts and one of the requirements is mechanical engineer, then you'll get pinged every time a posting comes up that's relevant for you. So just something to keep in mind. Our new grad positions do come up all the time. It's sort of like we don't have it 1 or 2 times a year that we hire new grads, and that's really important for people to note on the line that it's kind of an ongoing as needed basis. So you can keep an eye on the website, and as positions become available, whether we've moved someone into a different area or we've opened up a new grad role, they'll just come up as we have them. So just important to note when you're looking at what's out there and how you get into a job with Tech. Okay, sorry, I noticed there's a couple more questions in the chat. One of them would be, what kind of goals did you set to get ahead of the curve with strategic maintenance? Mike, do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, so part of the Tech development program is we have BSWPs, which is semi-annual reviews with your supervisor where you set goals and you measure yourself against those goals throughout the year. So I just went through this process. I just finished it yesterday, actually. And a couple of the different goals I set are like amount of hours I spend with different groups of people, doing like failure incidents and root cause analysis, working towards our year-end target of 7,960 available plant hours. And then even ones that aren't necessarily strategic maintenance, but for my personal development is shadowing other groups. So I've done time where I've filled in for maintenance supervisors, maintenance general supervisors, planners, and schedulers. And one of my goals is just to spend 2 full days doing that again this year.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, that our performance management tool, that BSWP, building strength with people, is what that stands for, and it's a really neat tool, I think, to, outside of that, we're having regular conversations with supervisors and mentors and that sort of thing to really help build your career. But it sort of sets it so that at least 3 times a year, at the start of the year, mid-year, and end of year, you're really looking at, like you said, Mike, your personal goals as well as the goals of the department, and making sure it's all aligned and we're working towards the same common goal, and the team is aligned as well. So it's just a really neat tool to come back to, revisit, and make sure everyone's on track with the goals of the department. So yeah, it's great. Perfect. I know there's a couple of recruitment ones in here, so I promise we will answer a little bit on the timelines there. But I do want to make sure we introduce Will. I know we
Yeah.
have Annie, you want to maybe do intro because you know Will much better than I.
Oh, sure. So we have Will Ansel. So he's joining us today, and so Will is one of our co-op students, and he did an 8-month co-op in maintenance at our Highland Valley Copper mine over in Kamloops, and now he's joined us over here with strategic maintenance. I feel like I just did his intro for him, but I'm now going to pass it over to Will to do an introduction, and just Will, can you tell us a little bit more about your time at Highland Valley Copper, your role, your responsibilities, and now in your new position with us here at Cole as well?
Yeah, hi everyone. Super happy to be here. So as Annie said, I spent 8 months at Highland Valley Copper, based out of Kamloops, primarily supporting capital projects in the mill area. And what that meant was I did a lot of contractor supervision, contractor management, working with the union on making sure that all of that went super smoothly. And then I also did a lot of structural design work. So I am a mechanical engineer, kind of co-op, so still have some school left. But within that, a lot of small structural elements come into play. So I did a lot of structural design work, produced a lot of fabrication drawings, worked with a lot of people on the floor, both supervisors and the guys on the tools. And kind of to echo something that Michael said, it's definitely really important to be able to work with all different kinds of people and all different roles, and make sure that everyone always feels that they are heard and stuff like that. So yeah.
So
and then now.
Oh, just sorry, before we jump into the position now, because all of us can more speak to living in the Elk Valley. Can you tell us a little bit more about what it's like to live in the Kamloops area, and to be a co-op there at Highland Valley?
Yeah, for sure. So Highland Valley Copper doesn't have a super large co-op program, but what that means is that most of the co-ops know each other pretty well, which is definitely different from here in the Elk Valley, where there's so many of us. So there was always lots of events going on, stuff like that. And then also super near Kamloops, there's a really good ski hill. There's lots of recreation activities as far as hiking, skiing, getting out on the lake, stuff like that. So it's really good opportunities there. And then within Highland Valley Copper itself, as a co-op, I always felt super supported by my team and by my supervisors. And that was something that I really appreciated, and really helped me learn a lot. So
awesome. Thanks, Will. And then, Will's supervisors had wonderful things to say about him, and so he made the jump over to Cole for another 8 months. And so, can you tell us a little bit more about the work that you're doing over here at Cole now?
Yeah. So Tech has a centralized maintenance department that facilitates maintenance activities across all the business units.
and across all of our operations. So base metal mines and operations in Canada, so Highland Valley Copper, but also mines in Chile, and then also the coal business unit here in the Elk Valley and up at Cardinal River. So primarily what I've been doing since I moved to coal is I've been working on rebuilding trucks, haul trucks for one of our operations. And we're kind of at the stage where we've taken some of the worst trucks in the fleet and transitioned them into some of the best performing trucks as far as availability and production metrics. So that's a really exciting place to be.
That's awesome. And so within that position, can you just give us an idea of like day to day, like what your tasks are as a co-op in the role?
Yeah, for sure. So with co-ops, typically a lot of the first kind of month is taking handover from the person who had your role prior to you. So what I've been doing recently is just trying to get as much stuff automated as I could using things like Power BI to automate reporting so that I can focus on areas that are going to require a bit more attention. So transitioning some of our rebuild programs to other sites and stuff like that, and really supporting that group. So currently a lot of data analysis and reporting metrics, but moving forward, there's definitely going to be some project management as we get some of our other programs up and running, and even just at the program we have right now based out of Green Hills, that's definitely some work there to do as well. So.
Awesome.
Like it's going to keep you busy. Awesome. No, that's really great. And you know what, Will, you brought up something that we haven't really highlighted yet, and I think it's really important for people to understand. We talk about the size of the co-op program. So yeah, there are some huge amounts of co-ops that we do hire as a company. So like you said, the program at Highland Valley Copper is a little bit smaller. Obviously, coal is made up of 4 different sites plus some centralized services as well. So the volume in coal is definitely a little bit larger. We also hire some in our Vancouver operations, at our trail operations. And then also our technology group, which is the race group that I highlighted earlier. But yeah, on average, like this term alone, we're looking at probably 100 students across the business just for the May start. And that seems to be a fairly consistent number. Like last year, we were pretty darn close to, well, I think we're a little over 300 students that joined the business through the 3 terms. So at any given time, yeah, you've got about 200 students kicking around the business, and a good chunk of those be in the Elk Valley area. So the student community is something that obviously we're stepping away from the technical side of it, but boy, the students really get a lot out of that student community, and it really makes it enjoyable for them to have a community of people that they can have fun with. And we have events for our students as well while they're with us. So I don't know if you were able to attend, but they just had a welcome night for all the new students that started in January. And so they had, I think it was a curling event, was it? Well,
Yeah.
how was the event?
Yeah,
Did
it was
you
a
go?
curling event. I
Awesome.
unfortunately couldn't make it. I was still
Oh.
climbing.
Oh,
But
well.
Also fun.
but I heard it was super good from the other co-ops and that
Yeah.
I work with in the office. So
Yeah, and it gets the students out meeting each other. And then, like you say, it sets you off for success, for really getting to know other people that are here for the exact same reason you are, right? They're here to learn a lot, but then also just really experience the area fully. And when we saw that from the video as well, I always find it really interesting to see sort of what the students get up to and the kind of adventures they get to on the weekends and when their time off. And to highlight that too, I guess the schedules that we work here really are conducive to that. So we have our earned day off, or EDO schedule you hear it referred to at Cole, which is every other Friday off. Basically, we bank enough hours to get every second Friday off. At Highland Valley Copper, they probably have the sweetest deal, I think. So they do either a Monday to Thursday, 10 hours, or Tuesday to Friday. Is that right, Will?
yeah, so
Yeah.
most people at Highland Valley work 4x3. So yeah, like Stacey said, Monday to Thursday or Tuesday to Friday. There's a few people who work EDO, but typically those people aren't co-op students. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, and trail, same thing. I think they do the EDO schedule as well for the most part on as well. So yeah, so pretty, in case there's anything else, I know we just got a couple of minutes, but I want to quickly touch on the recruitment side. I know we had a few questions there, and I want to make sure everyone's got their answers. I know Annie talked a little bit about timing As Annie had mentioned earlier, there still are some postings up for co-op positions, and we're recruiting right now for May. And those are on the tech.com website. So you can certainly go there, put your application if you haven't already done so. If you have already done so, as we mentioned, be patient. We're working our way furiously through the applications. If anyone's interested in the race technology side of things, we're still waiting for a few approvals. So I would even keep an eye on our website over the next few weeks, and likely some more roles will get posted from our technology side of the business. So that's something to keep an eye out for. Something else to mention, if someone's interested in, like I said, new grad, keep an eye on the website ongoing. And then also for future co-ops, if you're not available for May, but you're thinking ahead to September or January of next year, which really seems like the future right now, holy moly, but it sneaks up on us quick. We obviously hire a lot of students every 4 months. So you'll see this cycle go through every 4 months. So once May comes, we'll start recruiting for September. So you'll see a bunch of postings up early May. Same thing, September, early September, you'll see a bunch of postings for January. Consistently, I would argue, hey, Annie, that maybe mechanical is probably our most, I say between mechanical and environmental, we probably hire the most students within those two disciplines. So there is no shortage of maintenance roles that we have across the business. And we sort of talked a little bit about, like Will's had a couple different opportunities. We have roles within our processing plants, within our mobile maintenance group, our strategic maintenance team. Who am I forgetting? Anybody
quality
else?
management, the water quality management group as well, and the water treatment facilities. Like it's, yeah, and across all the business units as well, because yeah, we've got Highland Valley Copper, Trail, coal. Yeah, there's piles of opportunity for mechanical engineers here.
Awesome. All right. Well, I don't think there's any other questions we're missing. Anybody? Let me know if there is. If not, are we ready to wrap it up, team? Is that call it a night for everybody? Thanks so much, Mike and Will, for enlightening us with all your information and all your worldly knowledge. We certainly appreciate you taking the time to share that with everybody and ourselves too. We always learn something new every session, whether it's from the trivia or from you guys.
Yeah, thanks for having us on.
Have a great night, everybody.
All right, everyone. Yeah, take care.
Thank you so much, everyone.